Anna Adamska-Gallant, a lawyer. Good evening. Delighted to have you with us.
Good evening. Nice to be with you.
Right, so our reporter and correspondent, and of course our analysts, have already set the stage for us for the misappropriation of this justice fund. I would like to go a little bit into the logistics of things and how will it unfold tomorrow, as we know that they are now attempting to weave the immunity of these individuals in order to finally, put them behind bars, supposedly. What's the immunity in the first place? How's the process being done? And eventually, what's going to happen afterwards?
Mm-hmm. In principle, every member of the parliament is protected against criminal charges with the immunity. And to waive the immunity, there is a need to have a decision of the same in case of members of the lower chamber of the Polish parliament. And in this moment, we are at the stage where the prosecution has already presented their motion to waive the immunity, presenting also the grounds for waiving the immunity. The motion has been already discussed and voted at the Commission for Disciplinary Responsibility of the Polish Sejm, with recommendation to waive the immunity of Mr. Romanowski, the MP that is allegedly involved in the case. And according to the plan, tomorrow the Sejm, the lower chamber of the Polish parliament, is going to vote on this motion to waive the immunity from Mr. Romanowski. And in case the decision is positive, meaning the majority of MPs will vote for this, then the prosecution will be allowed to present charges to the MP.
Right. This is not the only scandal which erupted recently. We had the Pegasus spyware that was also mentioned in one of our reports. So where was the system of checks and balances for those in power, and sort of why it was even possible to do such things?
It is quite clear that during the last few years of the previous government, the system of the check and balances was completely dismantled. And I would say that the most symbolic for this dismantling of the system of the check and balance was this merger of the Ministry of Justice, who in the same time was the Prosecutor General, who in the same time is a member of the parliament. And what is even more frustrating, I would say, is the fact that the Prosecutor General, being the politician, the member of the government and the member of one of the parties, has a competence to give binding instructions to prosecutor in every single case. And as a result, this we have been observing for last few years. Any case that could have been dangerous for the politicians of the governing party has not been investigated. Only the investigations against the opposition, they were prioritized. So this system that has been created, it allowed to make these kind of things that are being disclosed now.
All right, so have these check and balances been put back in place now that the power has been transferred in Poland? Do you see the possibility that the ruling coalition be prosecuted for any sort of crime if they commit any?
This is what is being used now by the opposition, by the current opposition. They claim that all these investigations are political because still the Minister of Justice is in the same time the Prosecutor General. So this is the argument that is being used by the opposition. But on the other hand, the Minister of Justice, current Minister of Justice, Professor Bodnar, he's underlying that he's not interfering into any kind of investigation that is being conducted. That investigation is being conducted independently by prosecutors from national prosecution, and this is for him like a principle, not to intervene. And of course, to separate the Prosecutor General from the Minister of Justice, we need amendment to the law. We need the new legislation, but it does not seem possible as long as we do not have, there is still like resistance on side of the president.
Just to follow up on what you said, I have a quote from Mr. Bodnar here. As Minister of Justice and Prosecutor General, I am fully determined that the investigation into the Justice Fund will be conducted with respect for the rights of suspects and in accordance with the highest standards. Of course, some are still calling it a witch hunt, as we've mentioned in our report, but I wanted to turn to political repercussions and political consequences for the law and justice, because this scandal involves mostly sovereign Poland politicians, right? So will we be seeing further distancing of law and justice politicians from the sovereign Poland? For instance, Andrzej Duda already has said that I think that lawlessness will be punished sooner or later, perhaps having, trying to distance himself. Would you agree with the statement?
Yeah, it is definitely more a political question, but definitely I think that this is what we are already observing. So the law and justice is kind of trying to distance from the sovereign Poland party, and I agree with President Duda that lawfulness should be punished finally and sometime.
Right, but 2025 coming up, it is also very important, if they want any chances at winning the presidency, to form a coalition as strong as possible. Do you think there's going to be a little bit of balance being struck in trying to keep the coalition together, meanwhile not being politically dragged down by the scandal that is just erupting?
If you mean the coalition of law and justice and sovereign Poland, yes, this is what you mean.
Yeah.
You know, this is a political question. I'm not a political commentator, so I would kindly avoid responding to this question.
So let me follow up with another one on the losses to the Treasury. So it is estimated at 26 million euro. How significant is that amount in comparison with some other scandals that we've been witnessing lately, and what consequences we can expect? Right? I mean, we already have some of them being implemented right now, but perhaps from a legal standpoint, you could tell us a little more.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a huge amount, especially that this amount has to be dedicated for victims of crimes and for help to people who are released from prison as a part of penitentiary aid, to let them restore their normal life. So this is like a huge harm for the society, for the victims, or also for these who leave prison and who need to return to the society. And I believe what is, I think, really touching or even shocking in this case, that this justice fund has been administered in the Minister of Justice. So we have justice in the name. So we are talking about justice and the money that should have been used for a proper goal, for a good goal. And they were abused, and they were used for some political reasons, political campaigns.
Right, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for clarifying for us some of these issues. Much appreciated.
Thank you very much.